Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on the Jewels Bracelet to go with the pendant we made a couple weeks ago. Now I've been, not posting as much as I normally do because I do have that pinched nerve in my neck. I am feeling better, so I'm beading according to how I'm feeling. So I have so many ideas and so many things that I want to share with you, but they just come a little slower than usual. But you know, we'll get there. We'll get there. So we're going to work on this bracelet today. So here it is. I'll give you a little look on the wrist. So it's really sort of using that same component, only we're not putting chatons in. We're just going to do a lot of little intricate beading steps to get you this bracelet, and it was so much fun to make. It's not hard. We've got a little extension at the end to make it easier for you to size this. We'll work on this pink one today, which I made to go with, of course, this one, and I just absolutely had so much fun designing this and so much fun making this, and I hope you will too. I hope you make it and post it on Facebook. All of you who posted your pendants on Facebook, they're so stunning. The colors you used were just absolutely gorgeous. There were tassels hanging from them, other beads, little adjustments to make it your own. I absolutely adore when you do that because you inspire others. It makes this wonderful little community on Facebook of inspiration, and then people look at it and they get inspired to try it, and then they play with their beads to make it their own. So just a whole lot of fun. So I'm going to clear this off, get a materials list going, and we'll get started. Let's get materials list going. So you'll need some mini GemDuos. Now, will the Super Duo work here? Maybe. You might have to adjust things. I don't know, but I hope somebody gives it a try, because you do that often. Like if you don't have the bead, but you have something similar, you try it and you post it on Facebook, and it's fabulous because it gives everybody options. So here's my mini GemDuo. You need a ring bead. You need a 4mm pearl. I've got a 2x3mm rondelle. This can be adjusted. I think when you get to this point, it's right in the center here. You might be able to fit something else there, but I felt the 2x3mm rondelle worked really well. I've got an 11/0 seed bead. I've got a 15/0 seed bead. I've got some 4mm Bicones. That's on the edge here. Got a toggle clasp and some jump rings to adjust my toggle clasp if you need that. So I have a few jump rings handy. I'll put the size in the description box below the video. I've got this needle case with 10, 11, and 12 beading needles. You'll probably use an 11 and a 12 on this because we're going through some small spaces and we're adding lots of little fun things. So I'm using 6-pound Fireline. You want to use the thinner Fireline because you're going through the beads a lot. So let the thread help you out by doing a little bit thinner thread. So I think that's everything. So, okay, I'm going to put everything in the description box below the video so that all the color, shapes, sizes, amounts you need. I'll do it for both of these so that you can get the colors if you need them. All right, so I'm going to clear this off. We're going to get started. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 5.5, 6 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and leave about a 7 or 8 inch tail. So I picked up and dropped down to my stop bead a ring bead. You can use an O bead here, the mini GemDuo and a ring, a pearl, 4mm, ring, mini GemDuo ring, 4mm pearl, ring, GemDuo ring, 4mm pearl, ring, mini GemDuo ring, and a 4mm pearl. So you've got 4 of your mini GemDuos, you've got 4 of your pearls, and you're all separated by these O beads or ring beads. Let's sew this into a circle. So I'm just going to sew through that first ring bead after my stop bead and that mini GemDuo. So give that a pull. Like that. This is what I have. So now what I want you to do is just go all the way around, reinforce, and exit that where you are right here, that mini GemDuo, right there. This is what I have so far. So all I'm going to do is I'm exiting the bottom hole of this mini GemDuo. I'm just going to sew through the top hole. Just like that. Okay, so we're going to continue now. So we're exiting a top hole, or this side hole of a the mini GemDuo on that first unit. So here's my next sequence. You're going to start with your ring bead, pearl, ring, mini GemDuo, ring, pearl, ring, mini GemDuo, ring, pearl, ring, mini GemDuo, ring, pearl, and a ring. So you've got 4 of your pearls on now, but only 3 of your mini GemDuos with, of course, you've got all your ring beads in between, because we're going to connect to this one. That's going to make our 4th mini GemDuo. So I'll leave that for a second so you can see the sequence. So you're just going to sew through the other side of the bead of that mini, like that. So this is what I have. And now you're just going to sew through the beads, so sew through that next ring bead, pearl, ring, mini GemDuo, ring, pearl, mini GemDuo, excuse me, ring, pearl, ring, mini GemDuo, like that. So we just want to get to that outside mini, exiting the bottom hole of that mini GemDuo right here. Just going to sew through this hole. Okay, so that's going to be our sequence. So you're just going to keep adding this last sequence here until you have enough units to make, to fit your bracelet. So when we make the units, when we start embellishing and such, it's going to pull in a little bit, but I would say just leave enough room and maybe another 1/4 inch or so for your clasp, because we are going to do this little extension here, but you don't have to do that extension. So you can play with the end to make your length. So I'm just going to give you a quick measurement of my bracelet without the extension and without the clasp. So let me just, first of all, the whole bracelet is about 7 inches. So the beaded portion without the extension is about 5.5. Okay, so that's just to give you a general idea for that size bracelet. And it's not a tight fitting bracelet. If you want it tighter, you'll bring it in. You can always adjust the ends. All right, so just get all your units done, however many units you need. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 units for this 7-inch bracelet. So just to give you an idea. All right, so get all those done, or however many you need to get done, and come back and we'll continue. So I'm going to do an abbreviated version of the bracelet, but everything that you need to know will be done across these. I have 5 units on here. So here I'm exiting the top hole. So I put down all my units. I'm exiting the top hole of the end mini GemDuo. Now I have a lot of thread left because I didn't do the whole thing. So if you have enough thread we're going to do some embellishment on the inside here around the pearls. If you think you have enough thread to start that, we're going to go ahead and move the thread till we come out of this pearl. If not, just add a thread, end off your thread that you're using now, and add a new thread exiting the top hole of that mini GemDuo. So you've either added a thread or you're continuing on. So I'm exiting here. I'm going to sew through the bottom hole of that mini GemDuo, like that, through the ring bead and that pearl right there. So you'll be exiting this pearl. Pull in a little bit so you can see that, just like that. Exiting that pearl, I'm going to pick up my 2x3 millimeter or whatever you can fit in here. You can try the 2 millimeter bicone, you can try an 8/0 or an 11/0. I have a little 2x3 millimeter here. Exiting this pearl, I'm going to sew through the next pearl, just like that. And that's just going to sit that little bead in between the 2 pearls. So let's put one of those rondelles between each pearl now. So exiting pearl, I'm just going to pick up one of my rondelles, sewing through the next pearl. like that. And you're just going to do that here and here, and then we will continue. Just a note, so when you put it on, it's going to sort of pop up. Notice how I'm just pushing it down with my thumb like that, so it goes right into place. We'll put on the last one together. Like that. Just want to pull your threads forward. Give it a push into place. Like that. So you're exiting the purl. Just sew through that very first rondelle you put on. Just like that. To set us up to put some more beads on. Okay, this is what it looks like so far. So this is about the biggest size I think you can put in here, because you want to make you also want to make sure you can get a 15-0 in between each one of these beads that I put on. So, you know, adjust that if you need to as far as the size, but that looks good. Let's add a 15-0 here. So I'm picking up a 15-0. I'm just going to sew through the rondelle. I'm going to do that all the way around. Just like that. One more. And get your needle in there. So like that. And I'm giving it just a little pull, just to seat everybody nicely. That looks pretty good. That's what you have so far. Okay, so we are exiting this rondelle here after we put our last 15-0 on. So I'm right here. I'm just going to sew up. So this is actually following this thread path. I'm going to sew through the purl, the O bead, and if you can get it, the mini GemDuo. If you can't, just do them separately. The O beads are not that forgiving when it comes to moving out of the way when you want to get by them, so we'll have to sort of play with that a little bit, but it works. So here, exiting here, I'm just going to sew through the other side of the mini GemDuo, the O bead or ring bead, and then the purl, just like that. And now I'm set up to put rondelle in between each one, and then my 15-0. Then you're going to work again. You're going to do the same thing we did. You're going to work your way around till you get to this unit, embellish, this unit, embellish, and so on until you're all embellished with your rondelles and your 15-0s. And just a note, yes, my thread is showing terribly, all this black thread. I do this so that you can see my thread path. However, if I was doing this for myself, I would be using a lighter color thread here, especially if I'm using such light colored beads. Okay, so I've done the interior embellishment on all my pieces, and I just love the pink. It's so soft and pretty, very blush looking. So at this point, you could just end off this thread. So you can sew around the interior beads and maybe make a 1/2 inch knot in between the 15-0 and the rondelle, and then come back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back and everything's sewn in. I did sew in my tail thread and any threads that I had. I'm going to add the clasp separately, so I don't need those threads. So thread your needle with about 5 or 6 feet of thread. You're going to be weaving in and out a lot, so I think you're going to need a lot of thread for the full-size bracelet. If you have extra thread, you can always cut it at the end and use it somewhere else, maybe to put your clasp on or such. But I like to make sure I have enough thread. So all I did was I've sewn through the mini GemDuo and the next ring bead here. So that's where my stop bead is. Pull in just a little bit. I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s, and I'm just going to sew through the next ring bead and the mini GemDuo. That's just going to embellish it there. And then I'm going to come through the next ring bead. Like I told you, these are not forgiving. You just have to sort of, angle your needle to get through them. But it's a huge hole, so there's lots of space there. And I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s. And I'm going to sew through the next one, like that. That's going to embellish that pearl. And then I'm going to sew down through the mini like that. And then up the other side of the mini and the ring bead. Just like that. Next up, I'm just going to repeat what I did. Pick up 3 11-0s. So I'm exiting this ring bead. I'm going to sew through the next ring bead, the mini GemDuo, and the next ring bead, just to put those 3 11-0s around that pearl. 3 11-0s through the next one, and the next ring bead and the mini. Now I suppose if you wanted to, you could just continue around and come through these again and then work your way, but I'm just, so I don't put too much thread around all the beads, I'm going to do one side at a time. So exiting the mini, sewing to the other side of the mini, and the next ring bead. I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter if you go all the way around or not, but I already started in this way, so I'm going to continue. And this is all you're going to do, all the way down. 3 11-0s through the ring, the mini, and the next ring bead. Don't worry if it's kind of weird getting through, you'll get there. Just maneuver your needle. There we go. Like that. So we're just going to continue that all the way down, then we're going to work our way around to come up the other side. Okay, I'm on my, putting my last 3 on this side on, so exiting here, and just coming around like that. Picking up 3 11-0s. So, 3 11-0s, add those on, and then just like before, you're just going to pop your way back through the mini and the ring bead, and you're just going to keep adding your 11-0s until you're all embellished. So get that done, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so I'm going to attach my last 3 11-0s. So I'm just going to sew through the ring, the GemDuo and the ring, and then you can just clip this thread off, and we'll start a new thread to do, well, you want to tie some half-hitch knots, and then we'll clip it off, and we'll start a new thread to do the embellishment around the edges. Okay, this is what we have so far. So we're going to start a new thread. So I'm going to make it a pretty long thread because you want to go all the way down and around and back. And I mean, you can add thread at any time. So we're going to be doing 1 pass around, and then we're going to do 1 more pass. So if you want to add maybe 5 or 6 feet of thread, you can, just, or 3 or 4, whatever you like, and you can always add thread if you need it. So I've just threaded my needle, I put on a stop bead, I left enough of a tail to sew in, and I'm coming through that first top hole of that first mini GemDuo. Next up, I'm going to pick up 3 of my 11-0s, a 4mm bicone and 3 11-0s, and I'm just going to go through the next top hole of the next GemDuo, just like that. And you're just going to continue that all the way down until you get to the last one. Come through the last one, and then I'll show you how to turn around so that you'll end up coming out of this bead, so you can do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I've come down to the end with all my 11-0s and my bicones. It's doing a slight curve right now, but it will straighten out when we put the other side on, and it's going to make it sort of curve a little bit like so. So, I mean, you can actually even take out some of these 11-0s and make it curve into a necklace. So always thinking. And then maybe put a drop here, like that. Put a drop here, Could be a very pretty necklace. All right, so I digress, so let's continue. Okay. So we're exiting the top hole of this mini GemDuo. I'm going to pick up two 15-0s. I'm going to sew through the other side of that mini GemDuo and the ring bead right there. So this is, we're going to be turning around now. You're going to go through the pearl and the next ring bead. Stay with me. Through the mini GemDuo and the ring bead, the next ring bead. We're just doing this so we can get to the other side. The next pearl, ring, and mini. Like that. And then before we start the other side, pick up two 15-0s and sew through the top hole of that mini so that each side looks the same. And then all you're going to do is continue down with your 3 11-0s, your bicone, and 3 11-0s. And you're going to do the same thing on this side until you get to the end, and then I'll show you, we'll do that turnaround again so that this side, this end looks like this end. Okay, this is what I have so far. So I've come to the end and I'm getting a slight gentle curve. It's not a super curve, but it's a nice gentle curve right there. So we're going to pick up our two 15-0s and exiting here, we're going to do the same thing that we did from the other side. So going through the GemDuo, the ring bead, the pearl, the ring. You don't have to pull this super tight, just enough. Through the mini GemDuo, the ring, the pearl, the ring, and then the mini. And I did actually, I should have told you this, sew my thread in, my tail thread, just so it was easier for me to sew around. So at this point, this is what it looks like. I'm exiting the mini. I'm going to pick up two 15-0s and I'm going to just go through the top hole of that mini GemDuo. And by sewing in the back thread, it kind of straightens everything out a bit. So you see how it's starting to curve? It's going to curve a little bit. It's not a super duper curve, and it will probably flatten out as we move along, but you'll get a bit of a gentle curve. So this should look just about like that. Yeah, this is what we have so far. And at this point, you have a beautiful bracelet, except for the clasp. So you can go ahead and skip the next step, go to the clasp section, and you have a beautiful bracelet with a nice open weave around the edges. I'm just going to show you how to do the sort of closed weave around the edge, so get a little bit of a scallop around the edge, in case you'd like to try that. So here we go, exiting, where are we? Here we are, exiting that mini GemDuo. I'm just going to sew through the next 3 11-0s and the bicone. I'll pull on a little bit for you, like that. Now I'm just going to sew through these 3 11-0s right there. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and I'm going to sew up through these 3 11-0s on this side. So I'm placing a little 15-0 in there, just like that. Then I'm going to sew back through the bicone, the next 3 11-0s, and the next mini GemDuo. And you see how that pulls it in? So this is going to make the bracelet a little bit smaller, but we can always adjust the end. I've got, you know, an extension on the end so that you can always extend it if you need to. So we're just going to do that all the way down. So you're just going to sew through the next 3 11-0s and the bicone, through these 3 11-0s, 15-0, through the next, through these 3, like that, place that 15-0 in there, back through the bicone, the 311-0s, and the mini GemDuo. And when I give that a little pull, you don't want to pull too tight. That's what it's going to do. It's going to give me this sort of little scalloped edge. You're just going to do that all the way down, and as like I said, it's going to make it curve a little bit more. So there's the difference here, and this is straight. So you're going to do that all the way down to the end, and then we're going to turn around and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, I've come down one side, and then you're just going to do the same thing that we did before, you know, to get to this side. Remember, so you're going to come through these, you're going to be exiting the mini, you're going to come through these two 15-0s and then down. Remember, you went all the way around to here, down these two, down here, and out this bicone. So you've already done this a couple times. I don't think we need to do it again, but I just wanted to show you the difference between sort of the pulled in edge and then the straight edge. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference, but you can certainly do it either way. So get that done. And the last thing we'll do is we'll be putting the clasp on. Okay, so I've gotten this side done, and forgive my air conditioners. I know they're a bit noisy, but it's pretty hot and humid. So I've just done the other side. I came out the mini. You just want to sew this thread in. We're going to put the clasp on separately, but I wanted to show you, see how when you do it this way, how it's going to curve. The other way it's going to be more flat. This way it's going to curve, so it's going to curve around your wrist. It's going to bump out a little bit, which I think is really pretty, but you can leave it the other way as well. So just get that done, get your everything done, sew this thread in, and then we'll put on the clasp. Okay, so let's add the clasp. So thread your needle with about 1.5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and leave enough of a tail to sew in. So I've put all the beads on. I'm going to talk you through it because when I was trying to demonstrate it, it just kept flipping around. So I've just sewn through, here's my stop bead, here's my tail, I've sewn through the top hole of that GemDuo. Okay, so then what I did is I put on a ring bead, like that. Then I went through the bottom hole of one of the GemDuos, mini GemDuos. I added 3 15-0s. I went through the top hole of the mini GemDuo. I added a ring bead, a rondelle. I put my clasp on, and notice how my ring is facing this way, not facing up towards me. I put a jump ring here so it would face in that direction. Here, let me just pull things over a bit. Okay, so the jump ring that's on my clasp is in between the rondelles. Now the rondelles will go through, so just make sure you hold it there so that each of the rondelle stays on either side. So for the rondelle, the jump ring, the rondelle, another ring bead through the top hole this way of a GemDuo, 3 15-0s through the bottom hole, going in this direction, putting on a ring bead, and then through that original mini GemDuo that's on the bracelet. So I will leave this here just for a minute so that you can get a good look at where we've come. So I'll just go through it again. Ring bead, bottom hole of the mini, 3 15-0s, top hole of the mini, ring bead, rondelle, go through your ring on, put your clasp on here, rondelle, ring bead, top hole of a mini GemDuo, come through the top hole, put on 3 15-0s, go through the bottom hole, coming out of the bottom hole, put on a ring bead, go with the original bead that's on your bracelet. Then when I pull, this is what it looks like. You want to make sure that the rondelles stay on either side of the ring, just like that. So this is what it looks like. Now all you're going to do is you're going to come around and reinforce everything and come out this way. Take the other thread, go all the way around, come out this way. Then you're going to go through the bottom hole and come out and sew your thread in here, coming out of here through the bottom hole of the mini, and sew your threads around here and make a few knots and sew your threads in, and you have your clasp on. And you're going to do the exact same thing with the toggle bar. It's not going to change. You're going to do that exact same unit. You can add more than one. If you need to, you can add more than one ring for the toggle bar. So let me just give you a quick look at the toggle bar. grab one. Let's see, I know I have one here. Okay, so here we go. So if you want to make your toggle bar longer, so originally you're going to put this ring on, you could put another one on like that, and then another one on in this direction again, and you're going to attach here. So if you need a longer, you know, a longer extension here on your toggle bar, you can always add more rings to it. Okay? All right, so get this done, get both ends done, come back and we'll finish up. Okay, we're back and we're done. So I put the pendants out because I just love how they look with the bracelet. This pendant I put on that 2-bead spiral chain. I'll link that down below. Just a note, when you are adding your clasp, make sure that that clasp is, the ring is in between those Rondelle beads. You see that? When I pull, it's not going to go on the thread because it's snug enough that it's not going to pull, because you don't want this ring to be holding onto the thread that's in between those. You want that ring to be right there with the rondelles holding it on. And that is how I always do a clasp. You know, when I do it this way, you don't want the thread holding the clasp on. You want it right in between there. Okay, so just a little tip there. So here it is. I think it's so pretty. I love it. I wish I had made the full one. Absolutely fun. A lot of fun little techniques, ways to sort of learn to weave in and out and make things, you know, sort of a little bit more intricate looking, but not hard. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you make it and post it on Facebook, because all of you who posted the pendant on Facebook, your colors were just amazing. And one of somebody on Facebook posted the pendant with a tassel, a gorgeous tassel on the bottom, a silk tassel. So pretty. So, you know, get creative, grab your beads, you know, you can use these colors, any colors, and post it on Facebook so I can see all your beautiful creations. All right, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye-bye.